And we're at the top of the hour. We'll just give it another 30 seconds or so, make sure everything get logged on, and we'll get started. So appreciate everybody. Be patient. We'll be starting in about 30 seconds. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay.
Yeah.
The session will be recorded. Okay, we're gonna get going. Few housekeeping items before we get going. All the phones are muted, obviously to keep minimal background noise as possible. I want to thank again everybody. I want to thank everybody who submitted questions ahead of time during registration. We really appreciate you doing that. It gave us some good ideas on what we needed to cover and how to do that in the presentation. Please continue to submit your questions through the chat window. We will do our best to address every question. A lot of your questions that you asked in pre-registration are addressed during the webinar, but with time constraints and because we had a great response to the event, we've got a ton of people in attendance. With that being said, we're not going to be able to address every question on today's call. If your question is not, well, whether it's addressed or not, we will follow up with each one of you individually to make sure that we've addressed your question, and if not, that we get you an answer to your question. Okay. With that being said, today's webinar is about leveraging NetSuite through its dashboards and reporting capabilities. I mean, probably the biggest responsibility that we have as CSMs, Alyssa and I, is to make sure that clients are getting value out of their investment in NetSuite. It's an expensive endeavor not only from a dollar commitment standpoint, from a time commitment to implement and optimize an ERP. Our big part of our job is to make sure that you're getting a return on that investment. So this webinar today is hopefully a start in that process to help with that. We hope it lays the groundwork, really a foundation for us working together to unlock the full value of NetSuite for your organization at the end of the day. Okay. Our goal is to help you understand what NetSuite can do and empower you and your organization to be able to get what you need to out of the system. We will be scheduling for our existing customers. We will be scheduling one-on-one follow-ups with you for a free consulting time to discuss this. But again, feel free to submit your questions throughout. That being said, I'm going to introduce you to the speakers. I'm Sean Munzert. I am a customer success manager here at Techfino. I've been working on kind of the ERP space for the last 20 plus years, but primarily the last 10 years, I've been working in the NetSuite community, helping clients optimize and, again, receive huge value out of their ERP system. Alyssa is my counterpart. I'll introduce you to her. Alyssa.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Alyssa Welling. So I'm currently a customer success manager here at Techfino, where I've been for the past 2 years now. Before that, I worked at Oracle NetSuite as part of their account management team and advanced customer success program. So I've been working in the SaaS and NetSuite space for over 12 years now. And I'm passionate about finding solutions for our clients, just having that aha moment, and just having NetSuite be more scalable. So I'm really excited to be here today.
Okay.
And I'll pass it over to Jonathan.
All right, thank you. Yeah, my name is Jonathan Holly. I am a solution consultant here at Techfino. Got all choked up about it, sorry. Yeah, I've been in the NetSuite space for about 11, 12 years, coming up on something like that now. And I started exactly where you are on the customer side. And I started as a business analyst, actually. So I learned NetSuite through its reporting capabilities, and I'm incredibly excited to talk to you about them today. I get a little nerdy when it comes to some of the reporting features and functionality in NetSuite. I love helping customers take advantage of them because there's a lot there, right? There's a lot you can take advantage of. A lot of people just don't know the full capabilities. And so I love to talk about that. Like I said, I've lived it. I've been on this side now for several years, consulting with different clients as well. in a lot of different spaces. And that's what's great about the reporting tools as well. Doesn't matter which vertical you're in, which industry you're in, you can take advantage of these tools within your business to help you optimize the system, right, and grow. That's the point here. And that's what we want to help you guys do, right? We want to help you take advantage of the system. Like Sean said, we want you empowered to be able to utilize the system on your own. And of course, we're always here to help you too, right? So we're glad to jump in and help as needed. So that being said, let me go ahead and flip to the next slide. This is our journey for today, right? So we're going to talk about several different topics. We're going to kind of do this like Smokey and the Bandit. We got a long way to go and a short time to get there. But we want to talk about first our dashboards, right? It's the first thing you see when you get into the system. We're going to talk about those in ways that you can kind of customize them and better utilize them within your business. We're going to talk about the standard reports. So many people that I talk to just don't know what's available, right? They don't know how to utilize just the standard reporting features in NetSuite that are there. It's, the reporting tool that NetSuite created when NetSuite was built, 25 years ago or whatever, right? So they're still going strong. But since then, they've created some other tools as well. So they created Save Searches, which is just an awesome tool that drives a lot of stuff on the dashboard. So we'll complete that loop there, as well as then the Suite Analytics workbooks, right? That's the newest functionality that's in the system. It gives you those visualizations and things within the system and some really cool ways to take advantage of that. So we'll talk about all of those things. I will be up front though and tell you, first of all, what this webinar is not. This webinar is not a training session. One, because if it was, we wouldn't get much done within an hour, right? There's so much to do within the system, so many things to train on. We barely get anywhere, right? We could do 10 of these and still have more to cover. What I want to do here, though, is, like I said, kind of help shine a light on some of the tools that are in the system and help you think of some ways to utilize them in your business. Right. What I see the most with customers is they don't know what the capabilities are. So they don't even know how to start thinking about how to take advantage of them. So I want to spark that creativity for you guys to understand, hey, this is something that I'm seeing in my business. Maybe I can use that this way or that way. Right. So that's what we want to do today. Talk about what's there, show you some quick ways that you can take advantage of it and get you thinking about new, better ways to utilize the tools. Right. So with that being said, I am going to go ahead and jump into NetSuite because I prefer to show NetSuite as NetSuite and not really show you a bunch of boring slides. So here I am in a demo account. Like I said, it's this is a demo, but for all intents and purposes, it's a live production account of NetSuite, right? It's just dummy data. But this functions exactly the way that your systems do and has the same tools, right? So nothing special here other than what you guys can get, right? This is my home dashboard that I'm on, right? I'm in an admin role. And this is, like I said, the first thing you see when you log into the system. And what I always tell everyone when we're going through configurations is we want to set these up in a way that you can come and sit down at your desk first thing in the morning when you log into your computer, and it will help you get an idea of what's going on with the business, where things are at, and then what are the first things that we need to focus on, right? What's the most important stuff that I need to do here? And so, that's the way we want to set these up. Now, that being said, that's not the same thing for everyone in NetSuite, right? What you care about in your role is not the same as what everyone else cares about. So this is a custom dashboard that I created for myself. I'm using a lot of different KPIs here. Some of the key performance indicator, tabs or portlets here for executive financials, for instance, or some order statuses. I've even got, NetSuite login audit logs here because I'm an admin, right? So I care about stuff like that. Right. So we have the ability to kind of tailor those, for ourselves. But also within the role structure in NetSuite, we have the ability to actually tailor those for the roles. And that's one of the first ways that you can get an easy win, right? If I'm a CFO, I want a CFO tailored role. I want this thing set so that I care about the stuff that a CFO needs to see, right? Monthly sales trends, that executive management, quick links, my AP balance trends, my financials. I care about bank balances and EBITDA, right? I don't care necessarily about how many orders were created today. But if I'm, say, an inventory manager or a purchasing manager, right, I do care about what the inventory turnover is. So NetSuite has tailored these dashboards for each of those roles. These are things that are given to you out of the box with the Suite Success SKUs that you've purchased, right? So I'm in a manufacturing premium SKU of NetSuite, right? The bundles that come along with that. So there are tailor-made dashboards for the different roles, and you get different ones depending on what bundle of NetSuite that you purchase. But they are there, and you can take advantage of them. And then you can tailor them from there, right? So you still have the ability to create those, control those, deploy those as needed, but it's a really quick win to take advantage of. Now I'm going to show you something. If you're sitting there going, wait a second, I have NetSuite, I bought a Suite Success version of this, I don't have any of those things. I don't know how to, my role doesn't have that dashboard. How do I get that? I'm going to show you a quick thing that a lot of people miss. A lot of consultants miss as well, and it's important. So if you don't see that when you're in a role in NetSuite, it is probably due to this horrible thing that if NetSuite ever listens to me, they'll change, but they don't. So I've got a list of things that one day if they listen to me, they'll change. If I come in here and say I'm going to customize a role in NetSuite, I have one chance at this point to decide what the dashboard is going to be. And so if you come down here and you see the dashboard, this is where I can choose what the published dashboard is for this role. The gotcha here is if I don't select it at this point, and when I save it, I don't get to edit it later. So probably what happened, if you're not seeing those in your roles, if they weren't set up, probably whoever set up the role didn't select the dashboard when they first created it, and you can't go back and add it. Now what you can do is you can recreate the role, add the dashboard in. It can be handled, right? There are ways around that. But if you're not seeing those, this is probably why. And like I said, if NetSuite ever listens to me, they'll change that. But until then, this is what you need to do. Take advantage of those dashboards. So those are important. The other thing, though, what that does, right, is that makes it the home dashboard for users. And I've been in a lot of instances with customers, even as a customer myself, where we wanted to have a dashboard that we deployed to users that we controlled, but we also wanted to give them the ability to control their own home dashboard, right? They had specific things that they cared about. So one of the ways that we can get around that, and kind of a cool tool, is we can create custom center tabs, right? So these are center tabs up here at the top, and you can choose, what the layout is of those within the system, and you can create custom ones. So I actually created one called operations, right? And I custom tailored a dashboard for the operations team to utilize as, they're using the system. This can be deployed, this can be controlled and published to users, right? And I can control which roles get access to this tab and have this dashboard. This is a dashboard just like any other dashboard, right? It's not unique or special other than I went and created what I wanted on here and laid out the different portlets and the different reports and tools within there, right? So in this case, these are things that someone in operations would care about. And like I said, what that gives you the ability to do then is you can publish this to users, but give them the ability to control their home dashboard. It's the best of both worlds, right? You get that flexibility because somebody may care specifically about, something that the rest of the team just doesn't care about. So you want to give them the ability to create those reports or save searches for themselves, but the team is going to utilize this. And what I see so many times that teams do then is they'll build these, and this is their weekly status meeting, right? This is their bi-weekly sales call, whatever it may be, right? You don't have to pull up a million different searches and views. You have your operations dashboard, your sales dashboard. Be specific, right? Account management versus customer service versus outside sales, whatever you need. And you just come here and you go through the numbers. So everyone has the same reports. They're looking at the same data. Nobody's slicing and dicing it differently. You're getting the same stuff. And that's what's important, right? Because you want to make sure that everybody's looking at it the same way. So this can be the blessed dashboard, right? That everyone is going to take advantage of. So like I said, really cool way that you can create these kind of custom dashboards and then, you know, do what you want with them. That being said, NetSuite has also recognized this as a really cool tool, and they've begun to create even just really powerful custom dashboards. I had a customer that came to me and said, I want a dashboard for items that I can go in and type in an item and it will give me all the data on that item. I don't want to have to go and pull up every item record. I want to go to one place, type in, you know, which item I care about, and it'll show me everything that I want to see in one place. And I was in the middle of scoping out a customization to build this when my colleague and I happened upon the Item 360 tab. The Item 360 tab was released literally the month before this customer had asked me for this tool, right? And so we were able to say, hey, we don't have to go build this. We're going to save you a lot of money because it's free. You can go and install it from the Suite apps, right? And so the Item 360 dashboard gives me the ability, I can come in here, select any item, and then I go through the tabs. What's my inventory, you know, by location? What's my inventory by status? What are my projected on hand you know, views here? So I've got my work orders in this case, right? Or if I had purchase orders that were in there. I can look at this purchasing view of it, right? So it's going to give me the breakdown here of purchase orders. This is a assembly item, so I'm not purchasing it in this case, but I'm looking at maybe my manufacturing tab here. So those are the work orders. I also have some planned work orders sitting out there, right? So I'm using MRP in this case. So what are those planned work orders? And then I want to look at sales, right? What are the open quotes or demand plans for this? Let me pick a different item. I want to show the manufacturing on that. But let me show the I'm getting here. This is, I think this is, so this is an inventory item in this case. So like I said, this is a really cool tool that's free. It is another version of a dashboard that you can take advantage of. This is just one of them. So there's the Item 360, there's a Supply 360, there's the Benchmark 360, there's Cash 360. NetSuite has recognized this as an opportunity, right? This is what customers want. You want that visibility and you need it tailored and you don't want to have to go build it every time. So they're actually, you know, putting these out there for you to take advantage of today. It's free. So please, you know, if this is something you're interested in, go install it. If you have trouble installing it, let us know. We're happy to help you with it. It's something you can take advantage of. Let me show you some other things too. So everything, NetSuite's all about the dashboards these days. Let me find, where did my customer go? Here we go. So a couple things then, even within the different records in NetSuite and ways to access data, right? We're trying to make it easy for you because that's the point, right? We have a lot of data in NetSuite. I remember I spoke at Suite World one year and about reporting, and my opening remarks were NetSuite's great because it's got so much data, and NetSuite sucks because it's got so much data, right? And the point is we have to figure out how to take advantage of that data and what are we going to do with it? How is it going to be actionable? So this is just like I said, more ways that we can do that. Some of the tools they've had in here are things like the Customer 360 tab on a customer, which has, say, like a customer scorecard, or you want to see like the 12-month sales, right? These are all things that are in your accounts today. What's really cool about these two is these are saved searches that drive this, and you have the ability to customize them. So you can actually pull up this 12-month sales saved search, which I've actually done. I'll show you here in a second. And you can tweak it if you want to. So if you need to see this in a different way, you have full control over it, but you don't have to build it from scratch. But NetSuite's also built dashboards here, right? So you can see I have this view dashboard and view customer 360. So a couple different ways I can see this, right? And this is just, you know, like I said, great ways to get into the weeds of this customer in particular. I've got some KPIs that are going to load here for this customer. I've got some links here. I've got my transactions. I've got, you know, top 5 items by sales graphs and activities for this, right? This is just another view into this customer, and this can be customized as well. You can personalize and configure this layout. I love these links. This is something I tell a lot of users about because when a customer calls you up and says, hey, can you tell me, you know, how much did I buy from you last year? You know, different by item, all that stuff. You don't have to go and build out that report. You can come here, and when I click sales by item, it's already customized, filtered to this specific customer, right? I don't have to go filter a bunch of things. All of these reports, if you run them from here, are going to be filtered already to this specific customer. Let me jump over then. I'm going to jump into customer 360 view. So this is the new view that NetSuite has released, and just more ways to see what's going on in the system, right? So now I've got some really cool graphs and charts and things. It's trying to, bubble up the important things that I need to focus on that's going on with this customer, whether it's emails, whether it's those items again, whether it's product recommendations in this case, right? Things that they've purchased before, or if it's, complementary items that I should recommend to that customer. You get some really cool views within this. So like I said, these are all tools that are in your system you can take advantage of today. A lot of people just don't know they're there. And so I really highly recommend that you jump in and take advantage of these. All right, I'm gonna stop and take a breath for a second. I tend to get excited and go quick, so I'm gonna stop for 2 seconds. I'm gonna jump back into my home dashboard because I want to talk about my favorite portlet in the entire system, which is the reminders portlet. This is a native portlet that can be added to the dashboard as well, and it can be fully customized to what you need here too. So if you come in here and you set up, you can see NetSuite's going to show you a lot of available reminders that you can add in here. The ones on the right are the ones that I've added for myself. You can see there are a lot more available. All the ones here with the green C, that stands for custom. That doesn't necessarily mean that I built it custom. It could be custom that it came with the bundle of your version of NetSuite, right? Manufacturing Premium in this case. But it can also be ones that I built custom for myself. So, I care about bills to pay, orders to fulfill, invoices that are overdue, things that need to be approved, things that need to be built, things that need to be shipped, right? Whatever it is I care about, I can put in here, and it's going to show me those. This is, the point of this is to help us see what's the most important thing that I need to take care of, right? But what I love about this is it's not just lists of data either. In many cases, these take you to the bulk processing pages that go along with this. So sales orders to invoice, for instance, if I click on this, it's going to take me to the page to invoice these in bulk if I want to, or do it individually, right? So this is, like I said, not just a list of them. I can come in here and actually check some boxes and hit submit and generate the invoices for these. If it's an approval, right, I can click, purchase orders to approve, and it's going to take me to my approvals page where I can actually come. Oh, sorry, actually, this one is just the list. This is a custom one. It's just the list. I lied about that one. There's some other ones, though, I promise, that are approvals that you can click on, and they take you to the screen where you can actually click and submit the approvals from there if you want to. So a lot of different, really cool ways, like I said, not just to see a list of data, but to take action on it. And that's the purpose of this whole thing, right? Is what are you going to do with this data? The reminders portlet, really easy way to bubble that up, put it right in front of your face, slap you if it needs to tell you, hey, these are the things that you need to take advantage of. I've added 1 million of them here for myself, right? It may be 5 that you care about. It may be 10 that another user cares about. Like I said, the point is to also tailor these to what are the roles, what do they focus on, what do they need to do. And these are things that can also be deployed as part of those dashboards, right? So you can set that, make sure that they see the information they need. That being said, what powers a lot of these are saved searches. I'm going to talk about saved searches in just a second, but the saved searches that we have the ability to create in the system, you can choose that they would be available as a reminder. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. Before we get into saved searches, I want to start from the beginning back with the native reports in the system. I have people all the time who ask me, hey, what are the reports that I can see? There's a handy little tab right here, and I feel a little bit like a jerk sometimes when I go, well, have you looked at the reports tab? But the reports tab, this is where you need to come to. You're going to get, I think it's a few hundred native reports out of the box with NetSuite, right? So you're familiar with most of the big ones, like your income statement, your balance sheet, right? You maybe you've come down and seen, okay, purchases by vendor, by item. Maybe you've looked at the AP aging, right? AR aging. There are a lot of reports in here, right? If you want to see sales by customer, if I can stay on it. If you want to see your sales by customer, by item, by sales rep, by partner, by promotion, right? And that's sales orders versus sales, which are invoice sales, and the difference between those two, right? Do you want to look at your forecasting? Do you want to look at your cases? Do you want to do an analysis of those, of, the activity against them, time to close a case, things like that, right? Do I want to do my lot tracing here? Do I care about, inventory profitability, right? There's too many here for me to go through and tell you every one, right? But there are a lot of great reports that are ready to go out of the box that you can take advantage of. So I encourage you, if you have not taken the chance to go through this reports tab and just poke through and look at every single one of these, please do, right? Because there's a lot here. And what I tell customers a lot of times is, hey, these are probably not 100% exactly the way you need them, but maybe they're 75% of the way there. So, and you see, when I hover over these, I can customize all of these, right? So I'll talk about that here in a second. But the great thing is, NetSuite's giving you a great base to start from. So use that base. Don't feel like you need to go start building everything from scratch. Take the report that's really close or somewhat close to what you want to do, and then start tailoring it to your needs from there. So let me, invoice, purchase orders, all that extra stuff that I'd opened up. Let me see, where did I go? I'll just open, oh, there we go. Income statement, that's what I wanted. All right, so I'll take this off. When you pull up an income statement, for instance, this is what you're going to see, right? Basic standard income statement looks like every income statement that everyone runs everywhere in the world. One of the cool things that you can do is immediately start throwing in your segments. So like I had a second ago, I want to see this income statement by my classes. Easy way, right, to throw that in here and start slicing and dicing your data. These native reports, while not as customizable as the other tools that we're going to talk about, the safe searches and the analytics, what they're great at is this layout format, right? The visual here is really nice and clean because it's already laid out for you. Right? So take advantage of these for that purpose, especially around financials. It's great for that. But you can customize these as well. And one thing I like to point out, right? A lot of people know, like, oh yeah, I can come in here and I can add, another column to my view there, right? So if I want to say edit my columns, and oh yeah, okay, I want to add another field here. It's as easy as coming in here and selecting account type or something. I don't know. Click a button. There's my account type in there. So it's really easy to add those things. You can add formulas within these. They're not as flexible as like the safe searches, but you can add some very simple formulas in here. It's easy to do as well. But one of the really cool things about this, and I like to point out to people, are the layouts. So I mentioned that, right? Sorry, this is not like what I'm trying to do because I added more stuff. There we go. Let me get back to my layouts. All right. So editing the layout, right? This is how you're seeing it on the screen. And for a lot of people, especially around financials, out of the box income statement is great for them. But maybe they need a special version of it that they're going to send to investors or to an auditor or something like that. Not that you're trying to hide anything, but it maybe needs to be laid out differently, right? Maybe you want to group accounts in a different way than how they come out of the box. So NetSuite gives you the ability to do that, and in many different ways. And you can see in this case, right, I've got different income statement layouts per country, right? Because maybe you require it in a different layout per country. But you also have the ability to come in here and create and control, like I said, how you want to see things, right? What that layout is. And it does not affect the report itself. What's there as far as the available fields. It's just a different way to lay out that format. So take advantage of that because that's a really easy way to build that in so that you're not, every month pulling your income statement out into Excel and then using some formulas to move stuff around so that you can send it to your investors, right? Build it in NetSuite, export it from, straight from here, or email it, to them straight from here as well. So that's a great way to take advantage of the tools in the system and be able to just keep the data internal without having to do some external manipulations to it. So really cool things you can do here with even just the native reports, right? All right. So native reports are great. Like I said, they do wonderful things. NetSuite realized that people needed some more functionality. Oh, actually, sorry, one more I want to mention, sorry, I apologize, was the AR aging summary. One of the things too, there are some, depending on the report, NetSuite has built in some other kind of easy, quick ways to change things. One thing is within an aging report, you have this aging options. A lot of people don't see this down here or don't notice it. This is how you can actually choose, how am I doing my aging? So you can change this and say, I'm going to do 4 bands of 30 days instead, right? So easy way to come in here and actually, change your aging options. You can go completely irregular as well. And this allows you to add custom bands of whatever length in different ways, right? If you're doing like a 4-5-4 or something like that, right? And you need some your irregular transaction dates and stuff like that. You can do that in here too, right? So don't feel like you're limited to what's here. NetSuite's made it pretty easy for you in some cases to take advantage of that. So I just want to point that out. Okay, back on track to where I was going. Let's talk about save searches, right? So save searches is one of my favorite tools in the system. They're great what you can do with them, and just really powerful, right? Let me close out a couple of things here real fast. I'm gonna leave that. Let's leave that. Sorry, cleaning up some stuff. Okay. Like I mentioned before, those save searches that were driving that customer 360. I mentioned you could actually pull those up and customize those and tweak them as needed. Also, one of the things that I do all the time is I steal the formulas out of them, right? Because I'm building a save search that's completely unrelated, and I go, hey, I know that out of the box save search has a formula in there that I don't want to have to go rebuild from scratch. As you can see here, they have the formulas built in here. So maybe I want to look at, okay, this is 11 months ago formula. I can go and steal that, and I can change it to whatever time period I wanted to, right? But take advantage of these. So save searches are utilize SQL within them. You do not have to get that advanced with it if you don't know SQL. I don't know SQL, to be honest with you. I have learned enough to do some cool things in NetSuite. I would never claim to be able to know SQL, but like I said, it's very easy to pick up some things that you can utilize within the system. There's also, if you just Google, hey, I need a NetSuite formula for time period of last week, right? You'll find a million sites that have a list of formulas and things you can take advantage of. I'm sure we have some on our Techfino website, right? That probably have that as well. So feel free to poke around. People have some great stuff out there, and you can take advantage of those without needing to go learn coding languages or anything like that. But you can do some neat things with formulas as well. And so here's a save search that I created really quickly where, maybe I want to see, in this case, customers that the available balance, right? So I'm looking at their balance versus their credit limit is less than 10%, right? So that means they have less than 10% of their available balance still, because NetSuite will tell you when a customer is overdue. It'll put them on auto hold if you want to, but maybe I want to be proactive and I want to actually start looking at when they're getting close to it. And some customers, that may be fine. I know that customer always makes a payment at this time. They pay off everything. It's not a problem. I'm not worried about it. But maybe it's a customer that I don't know, right? I need to call them up and try to proactively take care of this before it's a problem. So I can do that, right? So in this case, I've actually built in, I have this one customer that their balance here is $38,000. They've got a credit limit of $40,000, right? So maybe I want to call them up and see what's going on. Maybe I want to shoot them a quick email, which I can do from right here, right? So I come down here and I'm going to send them an email, and I'm going to, send them a nice message to talk about the, balance due. And I want to quickly include the statement just to send them their statement as well. So when I say, hey, just so you guys know, you're getting really close to your credit limit, and here's your statement as well, right? Merge and send. And that's going to be attached to the customer record, right? Just like if you sent that from the customer record. So really cool to easily, quickly take advantage of these tools in a way that, not just, hey, here's a list. What are you going to do with this list, right? I can see in these, I've highlighted them red, that they're overdue, right? So I included those on here too, because I wanted to see ones that were close to being overdue, as well as the ones that are. And I've highlighted these to show that one. That's one of the cool things that you can do with a save search that I really like. are ways to make things stand out within the search. That highlighting feature is a great way to do that, right? So I came in here and I created a formula that says, hey, if the balance to credit limit is in this case, I did a kind of a funky formula on this one, but basically it said when it's less than 10%, then I want it highlighted red. Right? You can do all kinds of things. You can change the colors. You can make it bold. You can change the text color. You can add images to it that'll pop up, things like that. So those are great ways that you can highlight things within it to make stuff stand out, right? If it's getting close, it's yellow. If it's over, it's red. Right? Those are ways that you can make the data stand out and help you to know what to focus on within it. So you're not looking at a list of 1,000 transactions. You're focusing on those 5 that are a problem. Right, and that's what we want to do, is help to focus you on the exceptions and kind of manage to those. The other thing that I love in a safe search, one tool that people don't take advantage of enough, are the email alerts. So I talked about the reminders portlet right on the dashboard, and that's one great way to make stuff flash in people's faces and say, hey, this is a problem, you need to do this, or this stuff's overdue, whatever it is. But sometimes people still don't look at it, right? That's just how it works. So another way that we can kind of slap them in the face with it is send them an email. And there's some neat tricks here within the safe search, different from just like a report. We can email a report too. But in NetSuite, we can tailor these emails to who it is and to what's going on within the record. What I mean, great example of this, I worked somewhere that we had a sales team, 12 outside sales reps, and they had created 12 different versions of a saved search that emailed them, something that happened with their customers or whatever it is. Because, John needed this one and Bill needed the same one. And every time a new sales rep came in, they'd have to rebuild that one. You don't have to do that. You can build a single search and email the recipients based on the results. So what that means is I can come in here and say, I want to email this to the sales rep. So in this case, it's going to email the person that's listed as the sales rep on that customer record with the results that pertain to them. So I only have to build this search one time. I don't have to update it when I get new sales reps that come in or ones that leave. I just have this search that runs dynamically based on the data in the system, and the configuration, right, of who's the sales rep at the time that this is created. It makes it really easy to manage these as well, because it's easy to create a hairball of safe searches, right, and not know what's doing what and where, and you've got a million of them, and it's just really easy to get lost, right? So this is a great way to keep it simple, manageable, dynamic, and still get that functionality that you need. We're going to email the sales rep that their customer is over their credit limit, or that they got a new lead, whatever it may be, right? So we can do that. You can do that. You can tell it, hey, when records are created or updated only, right? We only when you get that new lead created do we want to email the sales rep that was assigned to that lead, right? And so you can do that, or we can do it on a schedule. Hey, every week we're going to send this to the sales reps. This is what happened this week, right? Or your product managers. These were the changes to your items that you managed this week. So you can do that. You can also do it on specific fields. So this is another way that can be dynamic, right? I want to send it based on updates, but I don't want to send them everything that an email about everything that changed on it. I only care about, did the price change? Did the cost change? Did somebody change the primary email address on a customer? Whatever it may be, you can once again dynamically set these alerts based on certain criteria of what's happening in the system. Because if we send people a list of 1,000 customers that changed, they won't look at any of it, right? We want to show them the 3 that matter, that they need to put their attention on. So we try to really focus it to make sure people are going to take care of what they need to, as opposed to it's just another email, it's just another big list, don't have time for it, right? So these are really cool tools that you can easily take advantage of. out of the box with saved searches in ways that, like I said, can quickly help your business, quickly help the users to understand what they need to do and where things are going. So saved searches are great, powerful tools. Like I said, this is what drives the majority of what you see on a dashboard, whether it's the reminders portlet, the KPIs, and then from the KPIs, those cool, KPI meters and things like that back on the dashboard, right? Most of that is driven from saved searches. And so really great tool that we can take advantage of. You can see these checkboxes here available as a list view, as a dashboard view, as a sub list view, available for reminders, right? So checking those is what makes it able to be added to dashboards, reminders, things like that, right? So if you do create a saved search and you go, wait, I can't add it to my dashboard, make sure you came and checked this box. Make sure if you want it as a reminder, check this box. Also, if you're creating a bunch of saved searches and it doesn't need to be a reminder, uncheck this, right? Because then otherwise you get this massive list of available reminders. So you don't, like I said, keep things clean and easy for your users as well. All right, so that's some easy things with saved searches. I created a couple others in here that sales orders past the ship date, right? So once again, managing to those exceptions. One cool thing you can do if you want to get even a little more advanced is you can, using HTML and CSS, you can actually build in some graphics like a progress bar, for instance. So these are work orders that I'm comparing the quantity that is built to the quantity on the work order. And then I have this progress bar that's showing me that. And I can change the colors. I kept this kind of simple, but if you wanted, if it's 50%, it's one color. If it's 25%, it's another, right? We have customers that use this for project management, right? And they're trying to manage the progress of a project. Quick visualization, right? Really cool. And so you can get even more advanced with these, and it's pretty neat. Another thing I want to point out within saved searches that a lot of people don't take advantage of, and it's going to play into where I'm going next with the analytics workbook as well. But it's the joins of the field, right? I'm gonna get nerdy. I'm gonna ask you to put on your nerd cap with me for a second. Think about relational databases. It's probably not what you were expecting today to try to think about relational databases, but think about it for a second. So NetSuite, we have all these different records, and they are joined to each other in different ways, right? So the customer is on the sales order, right? And so those two records are joined to each other through that relationship of the customer being on the sales order. The contact is associated with the customer, right? So because they're joined there. Now, think about it this way, though. If the contact is not put on that transaction specifically, that sales order, it is distantly related, but is not directly related to that transaction. And that's important when we think about how we're building these searches and what we have available to see, right? So in that case, if I wanted to build a search where I could, from the look at the customer, look at the sales orders, and look at all contacts with that customer, I would need to build a customer saved search in order to do that, because that gives me access to both of those related records. If I built that as a transaction search, I couldn't access all of the contacts that are associated with a customer, only the ones that are associated directly with that transaction. Little extra stuff, there for you. What that boils down to is, when you look at the fields here in a saved search, they're alphabetical. You scroll way down here to the bottom, you'll see it starts back over alphabetically again, and then it says fields ... I had a manager that called these the ... fields for that reason. What this is are the related records of this, right? So in this case, I am looking at a transaction search, and maybe I want to access the data of a related record. So maybe some information from the customer in this case, let's say, right? So if I scroll down here, I can type this in too, but I'm just scrolling. I can come down here and say, I want to access the customer fields. So even though I may not have a field from the customer visible on the transaction itself, I can access that data because the customer is associated with the transaction. So every field that's on the customer, I can also pull into this saved search, right? So like I said, thinking about how those things relate, the access that we can get to, and what that means. A great example of this, going back to sales reps, I've worked with a lot of salespeople. Worked with a lot of different teams, but a lot of salespeople. And one thing to keep in mind, right, is where you're pulling the data from. For instance, if you pull the sales rep from a transaction and you pull the sales rep from the customer, those two things may not necessarily be the same, right? The sales rep may have changed. So if I pull Save Search with the sales rep from a transaction, the sales rep on that transaction from last year may be completely different than who the current sales rep is. So when I'm trying to do an analysis to say, okay, what is the quota for the sales reps this year? What is or maybe I'm reconfiguring my regions, things like that. Do I want to look at what happened on the transaction, or do I want to look at who currently owns that customer as the sales rep, right? So it's important to think about that. Think about what the end goal is. Think about where that data is coming from and what that means. And we need to then tailor our searches, reports to that data, right? So we have it all in the system. It's all there. We can slice and dice it all the different ways, but it is important to think about how you're going to get there, right? And we can help out with that too. Once again, that's stuff that we help out with. The reason I bring that up, and we're going to get into the final stage here of our journey, right? And the third native reporting tool in NetSuite is the Suite Analytics Workbook. This is the newest tool. I say that it's 4 years old or more at this point. So, but it is the newest tool in NetSuite. It is also probably the least used because people just don't know how to take advantage of it, right? And it's a little scary. It's a little different. And at first, it looks like you need to be a bit more advanced to use it. You really don't. And NetSuite tries to make it easy on you. If you click on the Analytics tab, it takes you first here to the workbooks. You'll see these tabs here, workbooks and data sets. And what is the difference there? The data set is essentially a saved search, right? I mean, it's got some other functionality to it. It's a little better than saved searches in some ways, but it's essentially a saved search. It's what's powering the workbooks. Now, this is not necessarily a one-to-one relationship. Multiple workbooks can use the same data set, which is important, right? Because, once again, going back to, you want to make sure everyone's looking at the same data. It's, it's filtered to the same things. It's, looking at the same, ranges of dates and all that. If you create a data set, you can allow people to build workbooks off of it for what they need to see, but you know that they're all looking at the same set of data set to the same criteria. So there's no questions about running reports and things the same way, right? You know it's coming from the same data set. And if I pop one of these up, you can see this is my item data set, and I have all of the fields of an item available. And it's as easy as, grabbing another field here and throwing it in to say, okay, what's my average cost? And I want that in the search, right? And now I've built that into my data set. And all of these fields are then available within the workbook to utilize. So I've, put in things like my quantities, I've put in that average cost, right? I've put in demand sources, whatever it may be. All right, so I can utilize this within the data set. I'm going to go back to my workbooks. The other thing they've done to help you out here is they've given you a lot of templates, right? So if you go to click on the Analytics tab, you should see some already here, and some of them will say template, right? Those are ones that you can utilize and build from. And it may be one like the sales invoice template, for instance, right? And you'll come in here and you'll see a list of, in this case, invoices. And this is kind of my data set, right? But maybe I want to slice and dice it here. So, apologize. What analytics workbooks allow you to do is essentially create pivot tables and charts within NetSuite. So if you're, somewhat familiar with creating a pivot table in Excel, it works very similarly here. So I'm utilizing that data set and the fields within it, and then I'm building out, either a chart, a graph, whatever it may be. And it's all using the same data. So I have these tabs here, sales by customer, by promotion, by sales rep, sales over time, right? How do you want to see that? And this is another tool that, similar to how people use dashboards, that's their, that's their status meeting, whatever it may be. I see people do that with this as well. They pull up the workbook, they go through the tabs, that's their sales call, right? Great way to go ahead and build out these reports, utilize them for everyone in the same way, see the data in different ways that you need to see it. So really cool tools within these. But The other thing you can do here, let me show you. I have one up actually. Let me find it. Where did I build it? Oh man, where did I put that? I hid it for myself. Here's my item workbook. I'll use that one. So this was using my item data set. The other neat thing you can do with this, and what really, like supercharges these things, is you can see here, I have 2 data sets listed, and I have this little link. I can link data sets. So when I talked about relational databases and safe searches needing those transactions to be directly, or records to be directly related with each other, Suite Analytics workbooks allow you to work around that, in that I can come in here and I can create a link between 2 data sets that based on a common key. So for instance, my items and my sales orders, I can link them based on the location. I could, link them based on the item itself. I could, whatever it may be. I can do that with, I think, 3 total, but you can do that with multiple data sets. So they do not have to be directly related to each other. What that does, right, is allows you to access that data in different ways that you cannot do with a safe search. I had a customer that they had some crazy ways they purchased their items. It made sense for them, but they had multiple DCs. Everything was purchased overseas from a single PO, and the PO was only for their main facility. And then when it was ready to be shipped, they would look at all their data and their inventory levels, and they would tell their supplier then where to ship it. But the PO was only cut for that one location. So when you look at the native reporting in NetSuite, it looked like they didn't have enough inventory to fulfill, future orders or their forecasts within the system, because they weren't creating POs to the different locations, whereas the sales orders were. So what we were able to do is, with linked data sets, create the ability to see totals of what was on order across all the locations, buy those, and then create formulas to say, okay, if we get this amount in of that PO by this time, we can cover all forecasted quantities across all locations. And then they could easily determine, hey, I'm buying 1,000 total. Now I need to ship 500 here, 200 there, 300 there. Right. So like I said, those linked data sets allowed us to do some neat things that we would not have been able to do with just a simple safe search. And they had 100 different tabs here of ways that they could see their data, based on their requirements. All right. So there's so much more, like I said, that we could say about Suite Analytics workbooks. But this quickly goes down a rabbit hole that it's hard to get out of. So I'm not going to dive deeper there. But what I will say is, it is a great tool. It is a great tool that you can take advantage of, and NetSuite has tried to make it easy for you. Of course, within all their training and stuff, there's even a specific track for Suite Analytics workbooks specifically. So if you want to learn that, right? The big takeaway here, right, is a couple. One, we want to make your data work for you, right? It doesn't matter if you have 1 million data points in the system if it doesn't tell you anything. Right. So we want to tailor the system to how you need to see it, to make sure that you get the data that you can take action from. Because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, is making that business decision. And your business decision is different than, somebody else in your organization's business decision. You care about different things. So we want to make sure that you're getting out of NetSuite what each of you require. Right. So that's one big takeaway. The other takeaway is, there's a lot here already. So don't feel like you need, to go and do a bunch of customizations and spend a bunch of money necessarily even to get what you need out of the system. I encourage people, poke around, play around with these, get into the native reports, pull up some of the safe searches and play with them, pull up the templates in the workbooks, dive into them, play with them. You're not going to break anything. Actually, one of the things I love to show people is, if I go into, I'll go to my income statement, for instance, and I'm going to say, I'm going to customize it. You'll notice here the name says custom income statement. That's because NetSuite will not let me save over the native income statement, right? And that's true of all these reports. All of the native reports, it won't let me save over the native one. So go and play with them. get in there, see what you can do with it. Try to add some, extra filters, add another field or two, right? Please, dive into the system, and we want you to be able to take ownership of it and feel empowered to be able to utilize NetSuite for your business. All right, we've got just a few minutes left, so I'm going to go ahead and stop myself there because I could keep going all day. Let me go back to my slide here, and then I'm going to go over here. Recap quickly. Kind of did that already, but really easy win. Get those focus dashboards, right? Go, if you have not, assigned them to your roles, do that. Look at ways that you can take advantage of building a quick custom, tab or something like that to build a dashboard as well. Use those portals, standard reports, dive into them, find out what's there, find out some, easy ways that we can configure those to your uses. Save searches. We want to use those to help dive into the details of the data so that you know specifically what to focus on. You're not just seeing a giant list. And then the analytics workbooks, right? It's that supercharged version of it where we can now visualize it. One, it's prettier, but two, it gives us the ability to overcome some of the hurdles that we had in some of the older reporting tools. So we want to take advantage of that too. So great tools in the system. And like I said, I encourage you to get into all of them. I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to hand it back over to Alyssa.
No, that's okay. I wish you were around when I first started learning NetSuite. We all need a Jonathan in our life. But I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I don't know if we have enough time for questions, but I did see some in the chat. We'll definitely get back with you. Before you head out, though, we have 2 takeaways. So there's a QR code here. And so you are allowed to schedule a free one-on-one consulting session with us. So definitely sign up. No worries if you don't use the QR code. We have a follow-up email, so that'll be on there too. And then, so yeah, I'll give people a minute if they want to scan the QR code. And then in addition, we have an upcoming webinar on the books already for July 17th. So save the dates. It's called the top 5 NetSuite mistakes costing you time and money and how to fix them. So we want to keep this practical, just real world examples that we've experienced, that we've been asked. So feel free, register early. Use the QR code there. And again, we will be following up individually with everyone that attended. And then you also get the recording. So lots of good stuff. I know there was a lot to go over, but we promise we'll get back with you with any questions. So I want to thank you all for attending today. Please reach out to me or Sean if you have any questions, and we look forward to having you at the next webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you.